Today I'm going to talk about how to color change as you work. There's one really effective way to do it that doesn't muddy up where your stitches are and keeps the color changes really crisp and clear, but there are a couple of options for how to carry the colors along with you or incorporate them into your work. So the way that I would recommend color changing, and I'm going to color change between this blue and this white, is to, in the stitch before you want your new color, you will start it with the color you're supposed to be working with. And I'm talking about a single crochet stitch, but this applies to any stitch just with the final yarn over. So for a single crochet, it would just be that. Now I'm at the final yarn over. I will yarn over with the new color and pull up to complete the single crochet. And as you can see, the single crochet looks perfectly normal in the color it's supposed to be, but I've started with the new color for the next stitch. So the next stitch, and I usually capture the new color's tail as I create this next stitch, just to anchor it even a little bit better in place. And then you complete your next single crochet with that next stitch, and you have these really nice separate color change stitches. Now if you need to switch back to the other color right away, if it's just one stitch, then instead of yarning over with that new color, you will yarn over with the previous color. And that sets you up to use that original color to continue your work. I'll show that again. If I want a color change here, I'm going to yarn over with the new color and then complete the next stitch with the new color. And I'll do a second one, but then I want to switch back, so I'm going to yarn over to complete the stitch with that original color so that I can continue with that. And that's pretty simple for color work. Now for carrying the colors along with you, in amigurumi it's pretty easy to cheat a little, and you can carry the colors along in the back of your work because it will be hidden inside your three-dimensional object. This is a lot more difficult if you're doing a two-dimensional object and color changing and you want to hide this yarn. So instead of doing what I just did and letting the yarn float on the inside of the work, you can also always crochet around the color you're not using. And when you do that, you hide it as you go in the back of your work. You still get these neat, tidy color changes, and you hide, instead of carrying the colors back here and making it sort of messy, you hide that yarn. The drawback there is that if you were using two very different colors, and I'll show you what that looks like, the colors may peek through your work a little bit. So you can see that if I pull this a little bit, you can see the white in between the stitches. That's not ideal. I don't really want that, but in a pinch it'll work for me. If you want to carry the colors along behind your work because you are making a three-dimensional object, and that's not a problem and you can hide the mess inside the work, you still have to be careful and conscious of what you're doing, because if I pull the carried color too tightly, it can warp the work and pull it inward to itself. So I usually give myself extra on the inside to make sure that I am not pulling it too tightly when I switch colors. So if I'm switching here and I pull too tightly when I yarn over to change color, you see how now I have this weird shape. It's cinched, and it'll always be like that because it's pulled too tight on the inside. So to prevent that, I give myself on this inside piece just a little extra loop, and I hold that down with my fingers on the inside of the work when I change color. That makes the inside extra messy and it can use extra yarn, but it is a much safer way to color change and ensure that you're not warping the piece by pulling too hard. Then if you're concerned about this extra yarn hanging around, you can occasionally just stitch over it a little bit as you go. You can complete a single crochet around that extra loop of yarn to catch it and anchor it down so that it doesn't stick out and get in the way. And that's how I do color change work.